this meeting till 5 minutes late, but we're going to do it anyway. Good evening, and thank you for participating in our monthly meeting of the Kitsap County Parks Advisory Board. This meeting is being held both in person and remotely via Zoom. Before we begin, here are some guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices, such as your cell or desk phone. This will ensure that we are not hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. Members of our public attending on Zoom, except for board members and county staff, will be placed on mute by the host. The chair will announce opportunities for public comment, which are included on the meeting agenda. Please adhere to the speaker time limit. For those on Zoom, if you'd like to make a public comment, please click on the raise hand feature to signal that you would like to comment during the public comment period. You will be unmuted. Please announce your name before speaking. For those calling in using a phone line only who wish to comment, dial 9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. Please announce your name before speaking. And please practice decorum for our public participation. Let's be nice. Thank you. So welcome and introductions. Start with Dawn. Just go around the room.
Dawn Doctor from South.
The meeting? Oh, look at me.
Irene Weber, Natural Resources. Partners.
Well, here's chicken and tartar sauce and
John Pearson, Central Kitsap area.
Linda Berry Mare, North Kitsap.
Grady Martin.
Lisa Hurt, North Kitsap.
Alex Wisniewski, Kitsap Parks Director.
Alex Hardy, Marketing and Event Supervisor.
Chuck Gazzetto, Marketing Communications Specialist.
That's it. Great. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our meeting. I guess we'll go over our minutes from last week. Are there any corrections that anyone has noticed or changes that you'd like to address? No hands, nobody? No, so can we make a motion to pass the minutes?
We have a quorum.
Yes, we do have.
Yes,
I so moved that we passed the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion passed. So should we move right into our public comment period? All right, public comment period, 3-minute limit, please. Do you have any? We have a whole bunch of people, so. Yeah, get in line. There you go.
I'm Mark Levy. I'm here representing the Kingston Parks Trails and Open Space, which is a quasi steward group. Our last work party was on the Eglin Trail, and it brought up a number of interesting issues. First off, we had a fair amount of tansy rainbow that we're seeing several dozen plants right along the road. As we look forward to that committee, a county park, we're interested in discussing turning some of the logging roads into emergency access road that would be available to get fire vehicles in if we ever need them, or potentially emergency vehicles over to the long dead end road at Hoffman Road. I think that'll meet with some good discussion with our Kitsap Fire District. And we're looking forward to, when this does become a park area, of having a critical area survey. So before we start any of the plans, we know what areas need to be protected. Coca-Cola Park is another one in our area. And just a reminder that we're still looking to get water to the Boy Scout Hall that's a tenant there and figuring out that lease. And I'm also hopeful that we'll start the watering. The grass is starting to get a little brown. We talked about Nike Park last time needing some trail modifications, just rerouting to avoid some steep grades. we have the same kind of issue at Quiet Place where we have a couple of trees that have got roots that you trip over. If we would just be able to go down the other side of those trees, we'd avoid some hazards. And it's become a cumbersome process without much progress to get those little trail deviations worked out. Last time we were glad to see that the Public Works had taken on a capital facilities division to take over some responsibilities for construction. I've got a trade-off for you. From Public Works, we have a 4th Street trail, 4th Street Avenue there in Kingston, or 4th Street in Kingston was converted from a road easement to a trail easement. But who's responsible for maintaining it now? And we have a couple of issues that have come up with the neighbors there. And that seems to me a logical thing for parks to have, because it's a community connector trail, as potentially a trade-off for the capitalist facility help that you're going to get. So that's kind of some news from Kingston Parks and Trails. We will be participating in one summer work party on the 20th of July at the Port Campbell Forest Heritage Park. Other than that, we're shutting down until the September time frame and taking some vacations.
Good. Thank you. Next.
Evening, my name is Joe Rubisher. This comment is a follow-on to some emails I had this week with Alex, so thank you very much for doing that. My first comment actually builds on some comments that were made to the comprehensive plan in terms of capital planning, and mostly from a Heritage Park standpoint, but it applies to all the parks facilities. It's, I think, when you do the capital plan, it should be inclusive of all the money that the county is being spent. And right now, there's shallow CIP from parks, but there's also big chunks of money that are coming through the commissioner's office and public facilities district, and big chunks of money that have been laid out in the Port Campbell framework master plan. All those things need to be together. I don't see how you can properly manage a capital program by having them scattered at different departments in the agency. So even if the money gets managed a little bit differently, the management requires that you know what's being spent by whom and where. So that was one comment. The second has to do with this PROS plan update. And so I had a request to find out what instructions the consultant was given for changing or editing the PROS plan. In the spirit of open governance, I think that should be made clear.
Joe, you're no longer being picked up by the mic, so folks online aren't hearing you.
There we go.
Maybe a minute.
The president.
Just to repeat then, the second comment is a request for the instructions that were given to the consultant for addressing the PROS plan. And in the spirit of open governance, I think that should be plain, and the board should see it as well as the public. Okay, thank you.
Any more people wanting to make a comment in the audience? No? How about online? Any online?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, allowing Kitsap Environmental Coalition to speak.
I'm sorry, I logged in through the wrong Zoom call. This is Beverly Parsons, and I'm not speaking for the Kitsap Environmental Coalition. I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking tonight to ask that the Port Gamble Forest Heritage Plan framework be removed from the park's website because it has not been formally approved through the legally required processes. And if it is to be continued to be posted, it needs to be very clear that it is not an approved plan. Park staff and volunteers need to understand that they are not authorized to implement this plan. And the public needs to know that what the next steps are for its revision and approval. The steps for its approval were outlined in a letter from an attorney sent to the Parks Department and the Parks Advisory Board back in October of 22. And I'm happy to send that again if you're not familiar with it. I would also ask why the stewardship plan submitted by the North Kitsap Heritage Park stewards back in 2019 is not posted on the site. There seems to be real unevenness about what's posted about the various parks and the various stages of plans. So all of these plans now need to be reviewed in light of the preferred land use alternative, which is basically alternative 2 that's been selected by the Board of County Commissioners. I think you're all familiar with that process. I would suggest that the PAB assist the Parks Department in looking at their plans across all the parks to clearly show that it is in compliance with the preferred alternative and the critical area ordinance update. I also wanted to note that the choice of basically alternative 2 for the preferred alternative means rejection of alternative 1 and 3. All too often, staff and others are caught up in the momentum of the past and do not acknowledge a change in direction that is called for when a decision like the preferred alternative has been made. So I just want to encourage people to stop and look carefully at what the change is. This is not about adding the alternative. It is about a change in direction. Like the old railroad track crossing sign, stop, look, listen. Thank you for what you are doing and all the work that has gone into the Parks Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Do we have any other? No, no more online. Okay. That ends our first comment period for the evening. So we will move on to our special presentations and reports. Alex.
All right, good evening, everyone. The mic picking me up okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is what I wanted to share today was with regards to the post that just got launched yesterday, I think, or the day before, about the new structural realignment in the county government, creating the Capital Facilities Division in Public Works, and how that will impact the Parks Department. This has been a discussion that's been going on for a little bit. But ultimately, the intent here is premised on kind of a past structure where across departments we had various capital projects being performed, but with different amounts of resources in each of the departments. And so an evaluation of this situation by the new county administrator brought forth this idea of coalescing across departments the efforts, the resources, the staffing to create this internal capital facilities division that would have two halves to it. One half will focus on carrying out capital projects for all departments, public works, parks, and facilities primarily. The other half of it will oversee the county's facilities division or facilities department. For those who've been with the Parks Department for a long time, you may remember that the facilities department used to be married to the Parks Department. We used to be Parks and Facilities, and about a decade, 15 years ago or so, the two departments were separated. At that time, the Facilities Department was managed by a couple different, it's bounced around being managed by a couple different departments, but not really landed anywhere that had kind of long-standing logic. And so there was an opportunity here to kind of bring together two challenges. One was coalescing resources for capital projects management. The other was you could also locate the facility maintenance departments within the same division. And that is the kind of the reason behind this. I have a graphic to share. I'm not going to go into the capital facility or the facility management half. So that one doesn't really have much to do with the Parks Department. We manage our own facility maintenance within our Parks Department ourselves. The only caveat being HVAC units, those like at the pavilion and other buildings are managed through this different department. But the capital projects management half of this new division does have an impact on the Parks Department and how we will move forward with carrying out capital projects today, tomorrow, and into the future. Let me share my screen just a moment. The visual, I think, will help here. Okay, on the screen is a graphic I pulled together just a couple days ago to help show and describe how this new capital projects division is going to function for our departments. We will, if you hearing an echo.
It was
Oh,
staff
okay,
issues.
okay, sorry about that. Okay, so in the past, all phases of capital projects from community engagement to concept drawings to the design components, your architect and engineering, into the permitting phase and actual construction management. Everything was managed within the Parks Department under the purview of one person. We had a single capital project specialist position who was focused on carrying out these projects for the department. However, as I mentioned, an imbalance of resources, when you take a look at the Public Works Department, they quite literally have a team of people who carry out these exact same phases and tasks for capital projects in their department. They have specialists who work on just the engineering phase. They have specialists who provide the administration of funding and the contract management. They have specialists who focus on oversight of the construction management phase when things are actually happening on the ground. We had one person to take care of all of those tasks. And so in an attempt to, again, to bring this together, to have a better balance of resources for all county departments, this concept was created, this division was created, and this is kind of how it will play out. Our parks planner, the planning effort, will remain in our department and will still do the kind of initial community engagement, take a look at past plans to incorporate whatever the capital project is to be premised on those, and basically carry that forward. Could be with a contract with a landscape architect, where these things often happen like that with park development projects, And it gets moved forward into a concept design. With that concept design, generally the landscape architect can help with determining estimated cost. Based on those estimated costs, the department would be responsible for applying for grants and finding funding to align with the capital project. Once those things come together, we would then become a client or a customer to this new capital projects division of the Public Works Department. From there, they would take the concept plan and our budget and move it forward by hiring an engineering firm or whatever type of consultants are needed based on the project type, and move that forward into design and construction elements. So you would actually end up at the end of phase 2 with both construction drawings as well as the permits being completed for whatever the project may be. Phase 3 is where we have the construction, and that basically takes and puts the permits into action. There's an RFQ or request for qualifications, request for estimates, bidding concept or element that happens. That gets translated into a contract for actually with a construction company to actually carry out the project. And then once complete, the project gets handed back to the department or the owner of the project, which would be the Parks Department. And we would then begin in on the maintenance and operation components and, you know, manage it as such. So wanted to share this, the kind of flow of things as it does impact our parks programs. And also it impacts an FTE, a staff member in our department. Our capital project specialist position will migrate over to this new public works division and will help to staff that division up. This is currently in process as well, the hiring for these various positions. Just last week, I participated on an interview panel to interview candidates for the new assistant public works director that will oversee this new division. So it is in motion, and I think everybody can say with confidence we hope to have this staffed up as quickly as possible, ideally by the end of the year, so that we are marching into 2025 with a team in place that the Parks Department will be able to lean on to help facilitate our capital project needs that gets planned out in the updated CIP that we update every year, and that happens in the fall. I'm going to stop there for a moment and see if there's any questions or comments.
I guess I had one, just a little one, but you kind of answered it. It was like the for our parks vision, that we still have our project planner in place, so they would be getting the public's input, and we would still be presenting our vision to these new public works people, and they would have to listen to us, right?
I mean, correct. I mean, ultimately, you know, that first phase, the visioning, whether that is, you know, a brand new park development or a redevelopment of an event facility or something like that, there would be a level of engagement with the public, with our stakeholders, with the Parks Advisory Board, with our volunteer groups to get feedback. All of that kind of gets coalesced and brought together to develop a concept of what the project is going to be. Maybe the layout of a new park design. You know, what are the elements that go there? where do they live within that park? What makes sense based on the, the environmental components of it, or how the different recreational elements play with each other, and so forth. That's where, depending on the size and the scale of the visioning phase, we could very well foresee bringing in a consultant to help with that effort, or it could be smaller projects we could handle internally with the parks planner leading the effort as well.
I just know there's a lot of mistrust right now with Public Works and David Ford, and the way he's been pushing his plans, and there's a lot of opposition to his plan. So I was just curious when I see Public Works there, my red flags go up because
Sure.
yeah.
Different, completely different division from, from David. He's a planner, so he wouldn't have a component in this. When it gets to the public works phase, that's basically where we're entering the construction phase. So different,
A
a whole different mechanism, a whole different operation.
Okay,
Linda has a comment.
Linda?
Yeah, I was just, well, I'm an architect, so, I expressed this to Alex in our budget subcommittee meeting. I was a little concerned sort of on that path off between parks and public works, between the project concept and construction drawings, because that's there's a lot of work that happens between, when you have a concept and you get enough funding, and when you actually are developing what's actually going to be built. And I just want to make sure that the Parks Department, which has a much different level of sensitivity to site, Parks retains the design control through those construction drawings. Once the construction drawings are, say, 90% done, you're moving forward. But as there's a lot of refinement and design that happens between conceptual drawings and through that early construction drawing phase. And I just want to make sure that Parks is heavily involved in that, and also that the construction management team has some staff that have different level of environmental sensitivity and sort of aesthetic sensitivity than is kind of usual and customary when it comes to road projects.
Right, that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, it's great comments from both of you, and great recognition, Linda, and that, there is, I guess one thing I didn't say is, there will be ongoing overlap between, as the owner of the project, we will remain involved, in all facets of this. This isn't a handoff of a project and we turn our back on it. A good example is the most recent Stottlemyre parking lot, as well as the North Gateway parking lot that is currently in its design phase for the north end of Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park. Those two projects are currently being managed by Public Works staff, kind of utilizing or implementing this concept before the division was even created. We did not have and have struggled to get the staff in place to carry out the projects. So we needed to find alternative ways to move projects forward. And we created this partnership with Public Works, and I have weekly meetings with the project managers for both projects, and we talk through challenges. We talk about the intent, the design of what we're looking for, and they help kind of absorb that and communicate it back to the consulting firm to make it, formulate it down on paper design. So I will also say that, the exact process of how all this is going to function is not fully baked yet. I mean, this is a brand new big change to the county as an organization, how we function, and we'll be, kind of building the plane as we fly it, so to speak. As this does move forward, we will create SOPs along the way, standard operating procedures, and understanding kind of what the relationship is and how we function cross departmentally with Public Works.
Dawn?
So I'm interested also or concerned that we'll have public work projects and we'll have parks projects throughout, lots of them, but at some points in time, we'll be limited by staff still. What will happen to the priority of different projects? Will parks be the lower priority, or will there be a mechanism worked out so that we can maintain our projects?
Yeah. And I don't have an answer for you. That is a concern that has come up a number of times amongst the Parks Department as well as others too. How do we prioritize projects when they're coming from different areas, when they're coming from different funding sources? And geez, today it almost seems like everything's a priority. So yeah, we'll need to figure that one out too. But I can tell you, we won't acquiesce our own priorities for others. We'll continue to, to push our way through the door and, be good partners with Public Works to help funding and projects to help get everything done. I mean, we're in this together to, build a better community for the county, whether it's roads or infrastructure or, parks and recreation facilities. Yeah, how this shakes out, something we still need to work through.
Excellent. Is that the end of your presentation?
Well, I have one
Okay.
more question. Alex, I was wondering if the qualifications for the staff that would be hired for those positions have been decided out, because I'm wondering, I know, for site planning of sensitive areas, parks, it's customary to use landscape architects, not just a civil engineer. Is there going to be some emphasis on landscape design for some of the criteria for hiring qualifications?
It's a really great question. I don't know the specifics of how the job descriptions are getting crafted for each of the positions that will help populate this new division. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know that, we are trying to, take all of the project needs into consideration so that we can get the experience, the certifications, the, appropriate education in place to help these. I mean, parks projects are vastly different from Public Works projects. So we're not looking for, an identical type of project manager or engineer that a Public Works might hire for roads or stormwater or a sewer project. So that is what those skills are is certainly being discussed with Public Works, who is leading the effort of hiring. But yeah.
Do you have input on that? The search?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I participated in the hiring process for the assistant Public Works director position for this. They've not gotten down to the lower level positions.
But you will have some say in that because you'll express the need for.
It's already been expressed.
Okay, good.
Yeah, as well as the priorities. How do we, work out the relationship? So a lot of this stuff is kind of in discussion. We haven't figured it all out. It's in process.
Okay, so any more questions? Any? No. Okay, moving on then. Director's report.
Roads. So that, what I just shared is also in the director's report, obviously not going to touch on it here. So I can catch my breath a minute. I'm going to turn the program updates and have Alex Hardy speak about her marketing and events program, followed by Irene Weber to provide a brief update on natural resources program happenings. And then I'll come back to me and a few more things to share that's on the director's report. Alex?
All right, so in my portion of the director's report, the marketing and events program, you will find the events data. Again, I'm not going to spend any time going through that. It's there for you to look at. And feel free to reach out to me with any questions. But tonight I wanted to focus on the policy and fee schedule update that we're currently working on. So currently we have policies for our events that happen mainly here at the fairgrounds. We have adapted those to apply for park events, picnic shelters, athletic field rentals, and community building rentals. Since we did not have policies in place besides the fairgrounds. So this big update is going to have kind of restructure how we have our fees or policies outlined and our fee structure outlined. We've broken them up into the different segments. So we will have policies for athletic field rentals. We will have policies for community building rentals. We'll have policies for special park events. We'll have policies for the fairgrounds, and then picnic shelters. There's 5. Don't know if I hit all of those points. But again, the main focus for these is not changing our policies, but it's more implementing fee structures, especially for those special park events. That's something we've been lacking, and adding more policies specific to the parks, kind of filling in gaps where we've been lacking policies. So really, really happy to move these forward. In the director's report, you will see a timeline of the process. So currently, we're getting ready to send out the policies to review to our stakeholders for their feedback. And then in August, I will be bringing the policies to the subcommittee. I can't remember which one. I believe it's the Community Outreach and Visitor Services Subcommittee for review. And then in September, I hope to bring it back to the Parks Board for recommendation to move it forward before going to the commissioners, hopefully in October. I know it's a quick timeline, but we've put probably a good 6 months to a year working on these updates, and we're very happy with how they're moving forward, and look forward to engaging with the subcommittee for feedback here in August.
Who are the stakeholders?
The stakeholders are all of our user groups. So for the fairgrounds, any event that is here on the fairgrounds that we host would be able to review the policies and provide feedback. For the special park events, we will be engaging with the user groups out there. That includes like, and we have whaling days. So not just one specific park, but all parks across the board.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, and then lastly, just I wanted to add, I know the packet was quite large and maybe got rejected, and it's probably due to the photos I included, but I wanted to make sure to call attention to some of the photos that we're including in the update. So for this one, we have photos of the Master Gardener plant sale that happened here at the fairgrounds, farm days, the reptile expo, and then Central Kitsap Fire, the kids days. These are all really great community events. They were well attended. So just wanted to call attention to the pictures so you guys can see and hopefully gain some understanding of how large the events are and what my staff do day in and day out to serve the community.
Would you like me to share them?
Sure, thank you.
There's printed version on the table as well, just one copy.
How many people attended these events? I guess that would be a good question.
That is a good question, and I don't really have a great answer, because we don't do the ticket sales. I believe for the farm days, that one, there was, 2,000 to 3,000 people over 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the farm days event here, this is one of the commissioner sponsored events. So all the local schools bring students out, to give them kind of the experience of a day on the farm.
That's a 2-day event. So
2-day.
with the horses and cattle and pony rides and all sorts of stuff like that.
Exactly, yes, tractor rides.
Mhm.
This is the reptile expo. This was in the pavilion. This was a Saturday, Sunday event, and this was huge, very popular.
No.
Yes.
Do you know how many people were in that one?
No, I can find out.
Are there snakes in those containers?
Yes.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I thought it was cakes or something.
No, they're snakes, geckos,
Oh,
lizards.
great.
That kangaroo isn't a reptile.
No, they're kangaroos. This is the Central Kids Out Fire and Rescue Kids Day. This is a free community event. So they bring in the life helicopter, land it on Concert Park. They do demonstrations of, they do like Jaws of Life demonstrations. They put out fires. And again, it's just a fun day. They actually this year had people teaching kids CPR. So it's really neat to see. That's it.
Thank you.
All right, well, my update isn't quite as spectacularly photographed. But from the natural resource side of things, we're, kind of in a heads down phase right now. This time of year, there's a lot of trail maintenance, a lot of invasive plant removal that's going on. So there's been a lot of volunteer work parties. We had United Way Day of Caring last Friday, where we had 3 events, one at Cantil Greenway, one at Erland Point Park, and one at Banner, where we did invasive species removal at the first 2 and trail maintenance at the latter. We had about 10 to 12 people at each one of those sites. So that was a great community outreach event. At those events, we tend to get a lot of first-time volunteers, a lot of folks who don't come out to our parks very often. So it's a great opportunity for us to make contacts. The other thing that I want to highlight is some good news, some breaking news. So it's not in this packet, but we applied earlier this year to get a WCC, a Washington Conservation Corps crew, to help us with some invasive species management. Washington Conservation Corps is an organization that is a youth and young adult program that puts together different crews that do all sorts of conservation work, from invasive species removal to cleanups to they do trail maintenance and things like that as well, and general park maintenance. We'd like to use them more. So for this year, we just kind of, as a taster, applied for 2 weeks of their work to get a crew for 2 weeks to do invasive species removal at Port Campbell. So we were successful in that application. And so we will be getting that crew for 2 weeks later this year, which is pretty exciting. So now my job is to put together the contract and the work plan for that crew. So that's good news. We'll get some more people and some people that we can throw kind of full time, even if it is for 2 weeks at the problem in Port Campbell. So that is a big exciting thing there.
Hey, Irene, can you talk about what your intended scope is for that group, like location, focus?
Yeah, it's a little bit to be determined. So I went out and did some invasive species mapping out at Port Campbell about a month ago. Kevin and I went out there and just primarily focused on the areas that have been cut by Rainier and have since been transferred over to the county. So there's kind of good news and bad news in a lot of areas. It's not too bad. There's kind of scattered to medium density Scotch broom in a lot of areas, but the trees are doing okay. And so in those areas, our plan is to kind of take a maintenance approach and allow those trees to pop up and shade out the Scotch broom there. In other areas, there's some incredibly dense patches of Scotch broom that all the Saturdays in the world would not be enough to handle. So we are hoping to use the crews primarily in those areas because they'll be able to focus on that work and liberate some of those trees so that we can get it to that maintenance phase similar to some of the other areas. So that is the tentative plan for that group. The exact techniques and the exact locations is still to be determined, but they will be joining us in December of this year. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to working with this group and kind of getting a feel for how they work within our parks and utilize them more in future. Provided it goes well, of course.
Do they charge for their service?
They do charge for their service. It's significantly less than it would cost like for me to hire 5 people. But yes, there is a cost to it. I believe it's about $5,000 a week.
For 5 people?
For 5 people, they have all their own equipment, their training, their truck, everything like that. So it's, you know, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than having a full-time crew. Plus they have additional training, they have additional licensure, they've got chainsaw training and certification and things like that. So that saves us a little bit of money on that side.
Okay.
I have a comment that I was thinking about. And it relates to the 2 reports here. And it's kind of more an observation. I'm not asking for a change, but at Coulter Creek Heritage Park, we have some specialty user groups, for example, the disc golf or the airfield. And when they usually come and report on their amount of time they've spent. And I've noticed that we get a report from Alex, and it's a lot more of users coming in to how many people are, you know, events we had and things like that. And then the maintenance side tends to be kind of a line item of, you know, we need the curtain replaced or something like that. That's in a different section. But when we get natural resources updates, it's more of a focus on the work we have to do, which there's so much of it. And I don't want people to forget that these areas get a lot of usage, but it's extremely difficult to say how many people ride a trail, how many people walk a trail. And so our natural resources people are also creating opportunities for the public to engage. And I don't want to forget that, you know, I could report that we had over 350 hours of flying time out of our park, or, you know, I'm sure we could come up with lots of numbers. And I think it would be onerous to ask her to do that, but I'm just asking that we don't forget that these open areas are really incredible and important for our community. And we're not always able to express that in our reports.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about county park systems, and this is coming from, you know, somebody who's worked for national parks as well as county parks, is our parks are incredibly porous, where there's a lot of entry points. And it's different than, say, Mount Rainier, where you can count how many people come in to a certain degree of accuracy. There's some porosity there as well. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to try and figure that out, and hopefully when we hire a planner, that'll be a little bit on their side, is to figure out how to do some of those metrics. But we're looking into ways that we can quantify usage that can help support, you know, asking for additional resources.
Good point, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. Appreciate it. A couple other things I wanted to share tonight. One, kind of coming back to the world of capital projects. I'm sure, hope that everybody is aware by now that the Stottlemyre trailhead is open to the public. It was opened on June 14th. So not too long ago, and we're excited for it. We like the design. It's not your standard rectangle shaped, parking lot design. It blends as much as a parking lot can possibly blend into a natural landscape. It's got some plantings in there. It's not paved, it's dirt, so trying to fit within the natural landscape ethos of what the park is. But with that, wanted to, if Chuck is still with us, call him to talk about some of the responses that he has seen and received coming in to the department, to our social media, with regards to the Stottlemyre Trail.
Definitely, Alex. Thank you for turning that over. Stottlemyre, the Stottlemyre Trailhead has been extremely well received throughout the community. Just to provide some interest without pulling up too many graphs or anything. Right now, based on our social media engagement, it is the highest ranked engaged post this year, with about 45,000 people seeing it on their screen, and almost we'll say 150 reactions themselves to positive reactions to the Stottlemyre Trailhead post, along with multiple comments that we had, not just via social media, but also email. This did go out as a quasi press release to the community at large, and we did get some feedback with people just asking some various questions. How close is this to my house? Where can I get a map? Things like that, which is wonderful. We want people to engage and ask those questions. People wanting to know how many miles of the trail were available just in that area. And just to touch on just the work that was done with Washington Trails Association was wonderful, that we could finally make that connection and get a trailhead parking lot there. Again, just having the feedback that we had, it just shows that the community definitely wanted this, needed this, and really appreciated the hard work and partnerships that were done here. I look forward to providing a more in-depth report on some social media and website data that we have coming up, hopefully maybe late summer, early fall. But yeah, just wanted to share the well-received news about the Stottlemyre Trailhead.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yeah, also want to recognize and draw some attention to comments made before the meeting started by some folks in the room, as well as just kind of what we know to be true, that in a interesting kind of ironic way, as we open up access points for our parks, to try and spread usage, to alleviate pressure on single points. You can sometimes actually invite more people, and that is something that we've got we're paying attention to, and we'll look to make some management decisions if and when we get to the point where we are really, our stresses are being pushed to the limits. Just put it that way. I don't know exactly what those are right now. I know that there's trail use conflict issues, so we'll be tracking these as both the Stottlemyre gets more well known by the community, and as the north parking lot is still on track to be constructed and open in 2025. So With that, I've got two other items, and because I don't want to end on a downer, I'm gonna talk about the pros plan for like 10 seconds. We continue to be in a struggle with our consultants to get just a draft plan at this point, but a complete draft plan. I think I mentioned last month in an email to the board that we had received a couple pieces of it, but not in its entirety. We still have not received the plan in its entirety. We had a kind of a heart-to-heart meeting with our consultant on Monday, and he indicated he intends to get the draft plan to us by the end of this week. So while I am cautiously optimistic, I am not yet ready to start putting meeting dates down and scheduling those just yet. But you all deserve an update on where we're at with the pros plan. So I'm just trying to be as transparent and honest with you as possible. So that's where we're at with it.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So the last pros plan was really, I thought, really good. So I know it has to be updated every 8 years or whatever. So what really are they doing? What were they asked to do other than go over it and update a few things? I mean, they really aren't rewriting the whole plan, are they?
It will take what was written previously and incorporate that into a new draft, a new writing. So, and it's getting rewritten, but it's not forgetting all the past. So all that gets, that's what was written previously is our starting point. And then we incorporate and update, but every consultant does things differently. We did a much more robust public engagement process this time than 6 years ago. I mean, really, I don't think that the challenge is that we're doing anything different than we did 6 years ago. I think the consultant either has bitten off more work than what they can do in terms of projects, or I don't know. They're just not getting us the product in the time frame that we had originally agreed to. So,
Right. I know it seems like they're dropping the ball in a big way.
They have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fairly
Let down Kitsap County.
logical to say, given we're way past the deadline of what was written in the scope. So.
And it looks like the way the outline is here, from what I'm looking at, it's gonna take at least 3 more months minimum.
Yeah, so the review process you have there, I had previously had dates plugged in back when we thought we were getting it, and it's about a 3-month process for the review approval, including 3 2-week public review opportunities. So there's a lot of steps still to go through, but we can't engage in those steps until we have some.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I just didn't understand why it's taking so long when it seemed like the last post plan was really good. So the updates, what could they be? I mean, that's just what I was. Yeah. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So now I want to end the director's report on a positive note. In the maintenance and operations program updates, you are aware that I think a month ago, we announced that Brian Pauschel, our M&O supervisor, resigned from the Parks Department. He got another fantastic opportunity with City of Bremerton and has moved on. Since then, we went through hiring process, and we have made fantastic progress. We got 2 days ago on Monday morning an offer letter to our top candidates signed and returned. So very happy to announce that we are hiring Bree Gagne as our new Parks M&O supervisor. She will begin with us on July 1. She has 18 plus years of experience working in the Parks and Recreation industry, all in the maintenance program area. I actually worked with her. She worked for me prior to here, we both worked at City of Port Townsend. She was the maintenance lead there and led our parks maintenance program. So you will get to meet her. She obviously hasn't started yet. We'll have her at the next meeting, and we'll do an introduction with her for y'all here. Yeah, so super exciting. Also, want to give a huge amount of recognition and thanks to the three maintenance crew supervisors, Jason Adkins, Jason Bodie, and DJ Paul. When Brian resigned, departed us for another job, we did a bunch of effort to go through and identify what projects we still needed to move forward, what responsibilities we needed those folks to step up into to help fill the gap and bridge us until we were able to bring on a new M&O supervisor. And all three of them have performed fantastically. So I just want to give them some public recognition.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, so let's see, where are we at? Subcommittee reports. I don't believe there are any. Are there?
There was one subcommittee that was held on June 10th. It was the Finance and Budget Committee, and Linda and Grady were both a part of that. I don't know if you want to provide an update about what we talked about.
Sure. One of the things that we did learn about was this proposals for the merging the capital facilities project efforts with Public Works. And another one that we did talk about, Alex, I don't know if there's been any progress on, was the currently the timber thinning funds 2 positions, and we talked about making a recommendation to request that the commissioners alter funding one of those positions from a percentage the Parks Department gets to retain from events that happen in the parks. And I think our subcommittee all felt very strongly that that was a wonderful idea, that those positions were both extremely important, but we preferred that the timber thinning only be utilized for one position.
Thanks, Linda. If I could, I'll add a little bit to that. So as you may recall, we have built into the Parks Advisory Board bylaws, there are 2 subcommittees that are written in there that we are required to have on an annual basis. One is focused on budget, the other one's focused on capital projects. We are just now entering our budget development phase or season for 2025. So in advance of that, we pulled together the Finance and Budget Committee not to begin a review of the dollars and cents and how we program that. We haven't received direction from the budget office just yet, so we haven't done that work. We will come back to it. But this meeting, we kind of preempted that in that we are looking to make some structural changes in our financial accounts to better align our finances with our operations. We have done a little bit of this over the last 3 years, and this last little bit that we talked about hopefully will be the last change that will help align our budget accounts with our operational programs. That has since been shared with the budget office and the auditors department too, and we continue to get some feedback on what we're looking to do and how the tools that we can set up to make that happen. Because in some cases we were hoping to create new accounts or new funds to track some of our operations very individually in a siloed way. We're being told that they don't want to create new funds, but we can track it within a single fund in different programs. It's boring stuff, but we're basically saying, we just want to get to this end result. Help us get there. And so we're working through that. And I'll bring back those budgetary changes as a component of the budget presentation that will happen in July or August at the regular Parks Advisory Board meeting, depending on what type of direction and the timeline we get from the county's budget office. I don't have that yet. The county's call to budget comes out on July 8th. At that point, we'll get some direction on how to build out our 25 budget. Once we have that, we will call we'll do some work internally with staff. We'll bring in the subcommittee back and share this information. And then we will take the whole picture back to the entire Parks Advisory Board as a stepping stone to submit it to the budget office and the commissioners for their review. Sorry, I don't have that written down, but I wanted to share it. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is that it, Linda?
Yeah, that was the parks budget is challenging. I mean, I think we all wish that the Parks Department had additional revenue. One of the other things for the Parks Board to know is that when positions go unfilled, that's a one-year budget. That money goes away. So most of the park staff are funded from the general fund, and when those staff positions don't get filled, despite the fact that money is lost, it goes back into the general fund.
Dawn?
I think I would appreciate if Alex would touch a little bit, maybe for the community. I'm sure there's interest about talking about Irene and Kevin's, where their salaries come from, and long-term hopes or goals for where we can put those salaries into the budget. And then also a little bit about the fees, building fees, how much we get from the general fund and things like that. Those are two items that I found interesting.
I appreciate that. Did you mean to talk about it here or to include it in that?
I think the public, just very briefly, a couple of statements, because there's often from the community a question about where, especially the foresters' position money is coming from and the conflict that appears to be, and to know that there is a long-term goal of yours and parks to figure out a way to alleviate that.
Yes. So I'll touch on it briefly, and then I can come back in July with a more detailed presentation on the Parks Department's budget structure, the various accounts, what they're purposed for, and how we utilize those for expenses. Because the parks, while the majority of our department does live and is funded by the county's general fund, we do have special revenue accounts as well. Revenue coming into the department from various avenues. And some of them align with our mission and some clearly don't. So I guess, let me think here. In the past couple of years, we did some work to adjust the different sub accounts in our general fund ledger to match our program areas. So we have a budget for natural resources operation. We have a separate budget for events operation. We have a separate budget for M&O operations. All of this it's the same pot of money. We just subdivide it within our department so that we can program it separately and track it by program or by operational area. This was different from how the department used to be financially operated in the past. So it took a minute to make some changes there. What we hadn't done up until this point were any of those same type of budgetary changes to the special revenue accounts. And so this, what I shared with the subcommittee and what is being conversed with the auditor's office and the budget office are not necessarily the general fund accounts, but our special revenue accounts. And looking at both modifying some of those, because we do want to get some of those into their separate accounts. For example, and this is also one that does not match our mission, is on some of the properties that the Parks Department has acquired in the past are houses. And we currently contract with a property management company to rent those houses out on behalf of us. They rent those out, they take a management fee, and then the rest of the revenue comes into the Parks Department. I can tell you right now, we are not in the business of doing house rentals. That's not what we do, but we still maintain those facilities. We are still bound to that. So we have to siphon off our maintenance and operations crews to go do repairs to these residential homes at certain points when something breaks or something fails or a refrigerator needs to be replaced or whatever it may be. But that is an example of a revenue stream that comes into our department, but also an example of something that does not match what a Parks Department is here to do. Another revenue stream that comes in is through Alex's program, our special event program. We charge for use of our facilities, for the building that we're sitting in, for the pavilion across the street, for soccer field rentals, for picnic shelter rentals, etc. Through a resolution that was approved by the commissioners. Alex, please remind me, was this back in the 2000s? It was, right? Anyway.
Before my time.
Yeah, 20-ish years ago, I give huge props to the staff at that point, as well as the commissioners at that point, because they agreed to allow the department to retain 20% of those revenues in the department in a special revenue account. Unlike the general fund, where if the general fund hits the reset button every single year. Whatever comes in, you don't get to keep it, and it goes out. Whatever you don't spend, it doesn't stay with you. It goes away. Whereas this special revenue account, we're able to add on to it each year. So whatever 20% of revenue coming into Alex's program goes into this special account. We do utilize that account for maintenance to our ball fields, maintenance to our rental facilities. But at the end of the year, if we have a balance remaining, that carries over from year to year. That is a huge benefit. I have never worked anywhere that has had that. Generally, 100% of revenue coming into the department goes right back into the general fund. You are not able to retain. So for us, it's a big benefit because we do get to retain funding that we're making to reinvest into our facilities and the program operations as well. So those are, I guess, again, without going down the rabbit hole, because there's quite a few of these different special revenue accounts that we have. I guess getting to Don's other point is the other one is the forest restoration program. So the forest restoration program gets money from, we do ecologically based selective thinning. So we don't do clear cuts, but the trees that we do go in and selectively cut do get sold. And those, we contract with American Forest Management, who helps facilitate the sale. We don't have to do any of that in-house. We don't have the skill or the expertise or the experience to do it. But they do it for us. They retain, similar to the property management company, they retain a cut of those for their management. And then what is left comes back to the department in the form of revenue that stays in this special revenue account. Coming out of that revenue account for the last 10 to 12 years was the wages, the benefits, all the overhead and operating expense for the program associated with the forest management program. So that was Arno's position in the past. It was one FTE. It was his truck. It was his professional development he went on. It was all the materials he needed to purchase. Everything associated with the program was wrapped into that. In the past, in the first 8 years or so of the program, it barely covered its cost every year. It basically, timber prices were at a level that they, we're not in the business. The intended purpose of the selective thinning program is for the benefit of the after effects of the thinning on the forest. It's for the ecological benefit of the environment, not to make money. We are making money, but that's not the purpose. So the money coming in barely covered its costs. As we went through the pandemic in 2020, you may recall that in 2021 and 2022, the cost of timber skyrocketed. At this time, the revenue that we retained from in the program went up dramatically and kind of ballooned into balance in the account. That has given us some breathing room for each future year here. It also gave us the spending capacity to add a second FTE into this account. And Irene's position, the natural resources supervisor position, is also currently funded out of this account because we were unable to get it approved through the general fund as a funding mechanism. This was the only other option that we had to do this. Otherwise, we would not have this position before us. This is not how we want to operate in the long run. We have had many conversations about how and when we look to find an alternative funding source to, at the very least, get Irene's position off of this cycle of generating, revenue from the timber harvesting from our selective thinning program. We're not there yet, but it is something that it is, in the back of our mind that we're working on. One of the concepts that came up from the Parks Advisory Board subcommittee was, what if we proposed, based on the 20% revenue we are able to keep from the special events program, what would it take to increase that percentage to retain more revenue in the department to basically fund one of the two positions in the forest that are currently funded out of the forest management. And so that's one of the calculations we are looking at. At this point, we're investigating it as an option. So does that help? That was very long-winded answer, so my apologies. But we can, and of course I don't have a visual here, but in July I can come back with some more information and kind of share a visual.
Great answer. And I think we should be able to retain 50 to 100% of our makes sense. Why not? Yeah. Anyway, okay. Linda, you're done?
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say is that all of us felt that the two positions were extremely important, and we really appreciated the work the staff was doing. So there wasn't, but we were hopeful that the revenue source for funding those sessions for at least one of those positions might be able to be modified. So I just wanted, and the other thing that, you know, when we got down into the details of all the different revenue sources and the complexity of the parks budget that Alex is dealing with, it sort of, at least for me, made my eyes kind of spin. It is, it is not, and it is not a simple or straightforward task that Alex is working for, you know, moving forward with. So it just is, it's a complicated department. There's a number of different revenue sources, and it, you know, it was a complicated set of revenue sources and expenses for him to explain to us. And I expect that none of us are experts, and I'm glad that Alex will lead us forward on this.
Okay, well, thank you for your report. And so I guess we'll move on then for old business. Is there any old business that would like to be discussed? Doesn't look like it. No? Anyone online? No? No? Okay.
I have one thing, it's just, I don't know if it's old or new, but the Port Gamble Park stewards met, you know, we're still working on maintenance and you know, restoration projects, invasive removal. Our task this month, we've had a lot of subcommittee meetings readying for the submitting the 2025 work plan. And I did have a question for Irene, because we had originally planned to have the stewards meet on July 3rd. And a suggestion came through this morning. I'm not sure that you were on the email, but suggestions was that we might want to reschedule that until you were available. But I thought our deadline for the work plan is that we really needed to have that back to the Parks Department July 3rd. So thought I would ask you on that, because there was a lot of online discussion here today. Is could we bump it back? We'd like to have you at that meeting, but we understand you're gone all week.
Yeah, I am gone all next week. I think we can be a little bit flexible on the deadline, especially because, you know, we're just starting to get the call to budget. If we can want to bump it a week or two, I think that's a possibility.
Okay.
But I also, you know, I'm also fine with y'all having it without me, and if anybody has any questions, they can contact me afterwards.
Okay.
So I would say it's up to the chairs to decide.
Okay. I didn't want to bump the meeting and you know, I didn't want to submit the work plan without the stewards getting a chance to review and discuss it. Thanks.
Okay. Any more old business? Nope. Okay, any new business? Look like any new business, so let's see. Public comment period. Okay, we have a comment. Okay, we have a microphone issue. Technician hard at work here. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. Yay.
My name is Joe Lubisher again. Two items on Alex. Already on the event policy, you were mentioning a number of stakeholders, but you didn't mention stewardship groups. And was that, are they on your list? And they should be. And I think your 2+ week deadline for actually touching base with all the stewardship groups is too short to actually talk to them at the various meetings over the course of the month. Secondly, you were talking about characterizing usage in the parks, right? This is not new, but probably nobody here is gonna remember it, but the North Kitsap stewards took that on a number of years ago, and credit goes to Jay Zischke for doing that. Used a combination of used a combination of surveys and counters doing it on different days to correlate and come up with estimates for annual usage and taking into account different entrances and stuff. So this has already been done. This is not new. And you've got resources in that stewardship group to rely on. Unfortunately, the Parks Department never took any interest in it. So it never progressed outside of that one part. You should know about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I saw the note about restoring access at the beach at Point No Point. And it reminded me, last Friday, we had this nice combination of hot weather and an afternoon high tide. And you should have seen all the people in cars in Arness Park. It was packed. It looked like a swimming pool apron with just wall-to-wall bodies. And that reminded me, we do have an erosion problem at Arness Park. We've been surveying it. Do we have a game plan where we can do something during this open fish season? Where we can do something to preserve what little bit of Arness Park we have between the road and the water.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were through the maintenance team, we were doing some tracking of the loss of soils there as well as Salisbury Point too. We would be highly challenged to do any type of hard armoring there. That is basically not generally not permittable any longer. So I don't know what the plan is, but it's something we'll need to take a look at.
There are alternatives to hard armory, like groins or logs or a number of different soft armory.
Yeah.
Or vegetation.
Mark, your comments aren't being heard to the folks online.
Thank you. Any more comments from the audience? This one, Carol.
This is a question. Wondering what the transfer date is for Eglon, if you have any of them. And can you tell us, once you do get a date, what the process is?
Yeah, good question, Carol. Eric Baker has been working with the DNR on the final transfer process for the Eglon parcels. I don't have a specific dates, but I do know it's kind of could happen at any point here. But I don't know. My guess is over the next couple months, it will fully transfer, but I don't think we have a specific deadline at this point. When it does transfer, we have put together kind of a short plan for how the Parks Department will begin to manage it. First and foremost, and I can share this at the next meeting because I don't have it with me to share with you. We will need to put up signage indicating that, it is, it'll be our park rules sign, our standard park rules sign that we have everywhere, indicating to the users and visitors to the new park or the parcels that there are rules they need to abide by. One of those is that it is non-motorized. So that was a comment that came up at the beginning of the meeting as well. That will be, an education piece for us to work on with the public to indicate that the new parcels are not DNR, and we have different rules and regulations than the DNR does. Aside from that, the simple act of putting signs up, we intend to continue to support the current volunteer efforts through Kingston Parks, Trails, and Open Space for maintenance of the existing trail network. Those are kind of the very first two things. Nothing else is going to change until we have a planner on board, until we've had an opportunity to engage with the community, until we've had an opportunity to do an environmental analysis and really come up with a plan for what the community wants it to be, and management plan to make it just that. Also, know that when we do get a planner on board, this isn't going to be the priority for that person. We still have a Coulter Creek plan that is mired in a phase of being partway done and not being able to get across the finish line for going on 5 or 6 years at this point. So we really want to get that person and have them start to focus on Coulter Creek first, knowing that we also have Eglon kind of queued up as same type of work. Hope that helps.
Thank you.
Well, I'm David Onstead, speaking for myself, but I'll mention that many people that I talk to would support you and applaud your efforts to focus on the ecological goal of improving the parks through the restorative thinning. So that's one thing. And then regarding the budget, I think the same people would probably say we think it's good to get key personnel onto the general budget, it's called the main budget, and off the money given from the restorative thinning. So just want to let you know that there's people out there that are supportive of that.
Thank you, Dave. Any other comments from online or here? No, looks like that's. Oh, we have Dawn over here. Okay.
We're done. I just wanted to highlight some flags, right? I also had 2 stewards at the park who usually attend and give updates on what they're doing. So one of them is the disc golf. Sam Puff has asked me to. They are doing the temporary disc golf one weekend out of every month. And in June, they were very successful again. During the weekend, they had 70 players that played 94 rounds. 10 of the players were from outside of Kitsap County that played the course. And the group volunteered 75 hours during the month of June for the development of their temporary course. And he wanted to make sure that the Park Advisory Board knows that in October, those are something that's overview of how successful they were. And the other was, I kind of I asked my special interest groups what's happening. And Casey, he deals with the Kitsap area radio control wire group. And this month, for the month of May, they had over 350 hours of usage. People actually flying. But I also want to remind us that, again, people go to their first weekend of the month. And when we were there, there was a family with children. And so there are other people that are being brought into the parks for those. The other thing I wanted to mention is the Discover Kitsap Parks. It will be down at Coulter Creek Heritage Park at the Calvinwood Lodge, July 27th, the last Saturday of the month. And we have a speaker from outside of the county coming to give us a walk, and he specializes in native plants and grasses. And he's just kind of humorous. It's not going to be a plant walk, but it's going to be a plant walk that's probably. So please come and check it out. It'll be a lot of fun. But the other things I noticed throughout the parks, they've been working very hard at Wynn Jones, and I was finally able to get over there. And I remember the first time I went through Wynn Jones, it was like, do we go this way? Is it trail that way? How do we get through there? Oh, this is really wet here. And like, oh my gosh, these bushes are, I can't even get through here. We went through today and there was no way you could get lost. Washington Trails group, they are almost complete. I think there's a reroute correct that they're still working on, but that's not going to happen until they're back over here after the summer. But the trail is looking really good, and they did a couple, modifications for water and things like that. But it was really nice to be able to see the parks trails in that area.
Great. Is there an announcement that's going to be made for the walk that you just mentioned?
I think it usually comes out and other people on Facebook.
Yeah, it's usually announced on our social medias. It also goes out in the volunteer newsletter. It's also included in all of the park advisory board updates. You can see that the next one is actually this Saturday at Port Campbell. So all the information is provided on a monthly basis.
Thank you for that, Yvonne. Any other announcements? Then I guess do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Great meeting.
Thanks for your stakeholder groups, including the sports groups.